So, walking meditation, just to remind you of a piece of advice I gave on the first, before the first session, and that is if you're having trouble sustaining attention walking in a circle like this, then to use the trees by the side of the path to chop the lengths of awareness into smaller chunks of 10-20 paces, and then re-establishing attention at every tree or every marker that you decide upon. So again, the walking meditation plays important roles. If you're sick, you're unable to sit for some reason or another, then walking can provide a very good alternative. If you're trying to create a momentum of practice, then alternating between sitting and walking allows you to practice for many hours without much difficulty. Most meditators tend to find they have a preference for either sitting or walking. And when you are practicing by yourself and you can make your own schedule, then you can adapt your practice accordingly. But even if you much prefer either sitting or walking, you should still practice the other posture. So if you like to sit, please do walk. Also, don't just get up and stretch your legs for 5 minutes and get back to the sitting, thinking that the sitting is the real practice. The walking has many specific benefits, beginning, of course, with health benefits. Sitting all day is not so good for you, long-term basis. And walking provides an opportunity to practice with your eyes open and moving in a more or less normal kind of way. And once you have some mastery of this posture, then it is much more easily integrated into daily life practice than sitting. The experiences during sitting can be. In most monasteries, forest monasteries, monks, nuns will have their own walking path by the side of their kuti. Some will have a roof over it. I personally don't like a roof. If it rains, I prefer to use an umbrella than to have a roof. I like the open area, provided you have some sufficient shade, of course. The surface that you walk upon is also something to take into account. If you can avoid walking on concrete, it's good. The path is very, very hard, as in stone, marble, concrete. It's not so good for your joints, having a surface which has a little bit of give to it if you're going to be walking a lot. So sand, dirt, ideally, but this is not so easy to come by as a wood. I'm fortunate enough to have a wooden meditation path. But that's something to bear in mind if you really get into the walking practice. If you're sitting, to be able to sit for long periods can be not necessarily a good thing. We don't measure the benefit of a meditation by how long it lasts, Some people most people sustain good level of focus, mindfulness and samadhi for an hour or so. And then when they get into second or third hour, then the quality of the meditation actually starts to decline. And it would be better to get up and change posture. But if you have developed good samadhi, like strong samadhi, then maybe you can sit 2 and 3 hours, and that's time just flies. But it's quality rather than quantity that's important. So if where you are in your practice now, the idea of meditating like 2 hours and 3 hours seems a bit intimidating or not really practical, then walking meditation does give that option even to meditators who are just beginning or not really very skillful or experienced as yet. If you're healthy and you can walk for 2 hours without any great difficulty, if you're really interested and focused and committed in a way that maybe 2 hours sitting would still be unthinkable. So to recap another point, that the walking posture, the rhythm of the walking posture, that steady rhythm, is conducive to investigation, the vipassana side of practice, perhaps more than sitting. Some of the great forest masters have walked a lot more than they sat. A great example is Lumpu Khao. And Lumpu Khao had 3 walking paths, this kuti, for different times of the day, and he'd walk 2 hours on the morning path, 2 hours afternoon path, 2 hours on the night path, and then he's also going bindabat, probably for a couple of hours, and sweeping leaves. So a very vigorous life, and most of his sitting he would do late at night. So there's no one fixed way of doing this, but having this choice of postures, standing meditation is also an interesting posture to experiment with. It's quite a difficult one. One way to begin with standing meditation is to use a staff or a broom and hold it in front of you, just to maintain that steadiness so you can't start wobbling after you've been practicing for a while. But that's not necessary. And then laying down meditation, that's also really useful. Of course, the tendency if you're laying down meditation to fall asleep, so you have to take measures to prevent that. And one is not to do your laying down meditation in the same posture as when you go to sleep. So if you sleep on your back, do the laying down meditation on the side. If you sleep on your side, then do it laying on your back. And the key here is not to move. If you make a point of stillness and not moving and not changing posture at all once you start, then that's a very effective means of keeping you awake. It's just you need that little bit of discomfort just to keep you sharp. But if you can meditate while you're laying down, then when you get ill, when you're unable to get out of bed, you can go straight into your laying down practice. So that flexibility, we can meditate in all postures, even outside the 4 postures. A famous case of Venerable Ananda, who became an arahant in between the standing and laying down posture. he was just going to lay down, and then in between the two. So the possibilities are endless. Okay.